Hello and welcome back to another episode. I know these aren't really episodes, but Happy Console Gamer starts his YouTube show like that, and I like it. It's always like it's warm and inviting, and so I just figured I'd use it for this quick vlog. Anyways, a couple of exciting things today. First of all, we have some YouTube subscribers. So the channel has started to accumulate a couple of subscribers, mainly due to my friend KYT putting it out there and people being interested. So thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. I think it's kind of cool. It gives me someone to talk to, about these game design things that I'm working on. So that's the first exciting thing. Second exciting thing. So last night, I stayed up late. So typically the way my day works is I wake up, I go to work, and then after work I have family time, and then we have dinner and more family time, and then after my wife and daughter go to sleep, I have a little bit of design time, or time that I can use to do things like write or produce content or whatever. Okay, so last night I used that time to cut up my print and play for the new project I'm working on, The Dig, and I figured that I would wrangle a couple of my friends in at lunchtime to play the game. And so last night I stayed up cutting that thing with scissors, and I think I need a paper cutter. There's these big paper cutters. I think I need that if I'm going to be printing like a lot of copies of this thing to Playtest. I wish there was like a printer that would just print cards. Because that would be awesome, because then I can just print the cards and then just continually, instead of cutting them, because man, that was a task. But anyways, I cut it up, I brought it to work. In what I did for the cutting is I cut it out, so it was printed on paper, and then when I cut it out, I put it in one of those penny sleeves. They're called penny sleeves because you can buy them 100 for $1, and I'll put a link to where you can buy those in my the area where you put links. So I put it in there with a magic card to kind of hold it in together, and that worked pretty well. So I think I might start adopting using that in the future just for quick prototyping. And so I had a prototype. It was ready to rock and roll. I went to work and my friends signed on. They said, okay, we're ready to test this thing. Let's try it out. So we tried it at lunch, and I think it was a huge success. And I say I think it was a huge success because I had a lot of fun, and my friends said that they had a lot of fun. But it's my friends, so I think my friends are honest, and they would say, yeah, it needs some more work if it was really bad. And of course it needs more work. It needs more development work. You can't just say after the first playtest that this thing is ready to rock and roll. There were a lot of things that needed to be changed, but I feel like the reason I feel like it was such a success is because the engine and the game moments were really fun. They really worked. You can tell that it was working. There were some things where they said, I don't know if I can do this. Can I do it? Can I not? And I needed to make that more clear on the card. There were some other things that were just too high. The cost was too high. So you would never be able to retrieve certain items out of the game because it's just out of reach in the way that a normal game would go. So we only got one playtest in. It took about an hour. It took about the whole lunchtime, and we went through about 6 or 7 turn cycles in that hour, and then it was time to close up. So my initial thought was that the game would end after 10 turn cycles. So I think that is kind of on par with what we saw. So yes, some talk about what happened. Okay, so when we played, there was some laughter, which was really good, and it was mainly circled around me getting totally destroyed by the trap cards. And the trap cards, I'm really working with them. I'm trying to figure out how I want to implement those. So a little bit about the mechanics here. The game is an archaeology game. You're digging through this big site. Okay, so let's pretend you have all these archaeologists. Okay, and they've all been assigned to the same big site. Okay, and the team of archaeologists that unearth the best relics, they're the ones who win, right? They win the notoriety and the fame and all that stuff. And so the idea is that you're kind of racing against other archaeologists to find these items. Now, that's kind of the premise I'm going with for designing right now, but I could see this game being played as a one-player game, just to see how high of a score you can get, to try to beat your high score, to try to put pieces together that go together in the game and do some kind of accomplishments like that. And I could also see it as a co-op game, where as a team you try to assemble a certain artifact, right? And then for maybe the co-op game, we just have a small package that we just shuffle into the deck, which adds some more severe trap cards and maybe that kind of some items that you need to put together. So there's a lot of thinking that, hey, I want to maybe make this available as a 1 to 4 player game and a co-op game if possible. So those are some thoughts, but as it stands now, while I'm testing the core engine, while I'm testing the mechanics, I'm just going to make it this kind of race game where archaeologists that is such a hard word, why did I pick that kind of thing, where they race to get these treasures. So one of the things I wanted to kind of inspire in the game is this idea of danger, right? If you're in these ruins and you're in these places and you're digging, things could happen, okay? Bad things can happen. And so that's why we have these trap cards. Now, I'll probably name them something different than trap cards because, there's this, you activated my trap card, from Yu-Gi-Oh! And that just doesn't, I don't know, I don't like that. So they might be called something other than trap card, but basically the way it works is, while you're looking, there's a function called digging, right? So when you dig, you look at a card. And when you look at a trap card, you reveal it and then do the action and remove it from the game. And so one of the trap cards that feels particularly bad is discard 2 cards. That's what it does. It's called site raid. So basically your site gets raided, some people steal some stuff from you, and you have to discard 2 cards. And so, man, that feels bad. It's like, because part of the game is you're working through this pile of stuff. So you're digging, looking for stuff, trying to get ready to build up your excavation points so you can excavate something, right? And then when you hit that trap, you have to discard 2 cards. So if you've already played 2 or 3 cards, your hand goes down to basically 1 or nothing and your turn is over. And it feels really bad. But I'm wondering, I think that's a good thing. It's a trap card. It's dangerous. It's something you don't want to hit. There's also cards in the game that protect you from the trap cards. There's a headlamp. So if you play the headlamp, it's kind of like you can see the trap, right? And so you don't fall into it. And so there's a headlamp card. So without such severe trap cards, the headlamp card doesn't really feel like it does anything. Whereas if you have the headlamp and you look at a card as a trap, you say, oh, well, I don't have to discard 2 cards, and maybe the next guy has to do it. So that's kind of cool. So I'm kind of waffling there. What do I do with that mechanic? Is 2 cards too much? We have to play it out a little bit more to find out. The other mechanic that I felt, this mechanic is kind of signifies same kind of feeling of danger, or you don't kind of know what the outcome is this mechanic called fragile. Okay, so some items might have what's called the keyword fragile, and let's cover that up because of the sun. But what that keyword does is when you go to excavate the item, you have to flip a coin, and if you win the coin flip, you get the item. If you lose the coin flip, you don't get the item, and it gets removed from the game. So it's a dangerous thing to do. So you spend your resources, and then you could miss. The payoff is the item is very undercosted. So you might get a lot more points for your resources if you actually get that item. There's another item in the game that it's called a brush. Those little brushes that the archaeologists use to get things that are really fragile, right? And with the brush, if you play the brush, then no items can break on that turn. So you can go after the fragile items with the brush. And I really liked that because I could feel myself kind of planning for the brush, right? I got the brush, I found an item while I was looking. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get that item. And then my buddy, he said he found the item and he said, oh, I'm just gonna go for it. So it just totally was like, dude, come on, my next turn I'm drawing the brush and I'm gonna get the item. And then he lost it. He flipped the coin and lost. And so he's like, man, I felt bad, you know? And then later he found another fragile item and he won. He won the coin flip, which actually won him the game. And so I think that kind of mechanic is very nice, and I'm really looking forward to playtesting this more. So I have a print and play, which is basically the instructions and all the cards. And I've made updates to the print and play. I just did that today after the play test to kind of word things a little bit differently, clean some stuff up, add some more flavor. So that stuff is ready to go. If any of the YouTube subscribers, if any of you guys want to play that, or just look at the cards and look at the instructions, just let me know. Just put something in the comments, and then I'll make sure I get you a copy of that print and play so you can check it out. Thanks again for watching. Really exciting stuff happening with the Big Dig, and kind of cool to see the channel get some subscribers. I thank you very much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.